Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse just did the unthinkable, and their most recent move proves that Ripple and its business is undervalued, as an accredited investor shares proof of what Ripple is about to do, which will not only bolster their autonomy as a company, but shows strength behind their business. What Brad Garlinghouse is doing is the same thing that made virtually every single business titan of the Industrial Revolution some of the richest people in history, people like Vanderbilt, Rockefeller, and Carnegie. And they're making this move because they know what comes next. As in a recent post from Watcher Guru, 60% of Fortune 500 companies are working on blockchain projects. And that's according to a report from Coinbase. Even major investment management firm Guggenheim, which manages over $345 billion, is getting into the game, and they're expanding on the XRP ledger. And macro markets are getting a bit excited as the S&P 500 is up, and not only are trade relations with China back on track, but Trump has secured a legal win in his negotiating style with tariffs directly from the courts. Not only that, but major announcements are being made at the yearly Apex Summit 2025 conference hosted by Ripple. So we have a lot to cover in this video, so stick around to the end. And before we dive in, head on over to Bull Runners HQ on Twitter or X. Be sure to scroll down to the pinned post in order to enter our weekly $100 worth of XRP giveaway. Last week we have a new winner, Daniel Murr. In this upcoming week, it could be you. All you need to do is follow through with 3 simple steps. We do double check and we do verify that you follow through on all the steps. A lot of people, you'd be shocked, don't do that. First, you have to follow us on this account. Then you have to like, retweet, and comment XRP on the pinned post. And finally, subscribe to our daily crypto newsletter at bullrunners.com/altcoin secrets. On the other side, you're still going to get access when you enter your email to our free ebook, which unlocks the 23 secrets to becoming a crypto millionaire. And without further ado, if you're feeling blessed and bullish, comment 777. And if you're gonna be the wealthiest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. What is going on, Bull Runners? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Paul, and you can find me on Twitter or X at PauliDeFi, PauliDeFi. As you can tell, I'm not currently at the home studio. I'm actually having to use Loom to record this video because I'm out of town, but I really wanted to get this news to you and was really excited to make this video. So I decided, screw it, I'll just do it on my laptop, even though it's nowhere near the same level of audio or my normal settings, the green screen, all the fancy stuff. So that said, doesn't really matter. What matters is that you're here for the content, and the content today is huge, as right now they're running 2025 Apex over in Singapore. This is a massive event where they've made some really cool announcements that I will be sure to cover more in depth when I get home. Currently in Montana, Oregon is home. So that said, here is David Schwartz, CTO of Ripple, sharing some really unique and awesome stats on the growth behind their company. And then you're going to hear from another lady on their institutional adoption and platform. Let's have a listen.
Super excited to be here, the 5th year of Apex. 5th year Ripple's done it, 5th year I've done it. Welcome to everyone, developers, investors, students, entrepreneurs, representatives of institutions. Everybody, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Super excited to be here. I've shown this slide at every single Apex. It shows that the XRP ledger, the growth is real. It shows a shift and scale over more than 13 years. 3.3 billion transactions processed, 6 million plus active wallets, secured by more than 800 nodes and more than 180 independent validators. So proven track record of reliability and decentralization. But this is not, sorry.
He's nervous.
I'm so sorry. I switched slides too early. I apologize. So this is a shift that we're seeing. Institutions are moving from pilots into production. Yesterday, we had the announcement of digital commercial paper live on XRPL. Real assets are coming on chain. Commercial paper, treasuries, money market funds, stablecoins. All of these things are happening today on the XRP ledger. And this isn't box checking. This isn't another DeFi fad. This is a massive, massive opportunity. These institutions are adopting layer one blockchains because they see the advantages of the decentralization and the governance. These institutions will be innovation accelerators. They don't own the XRP ledger. They don't want to run the XRP ledger. They want to participate on an open blockchain. The trustworthy infrastructure brings more building blocks to more developers. The best example of this that we can all see clearly is stablecoins. There is not a more institutional product than stablecoins in existence. They're launched by institutions. Their direct customers are institutions. But we've seen billions of dollars of DeFi impact from these stablecoins. These stablecoins are used for collateral, for payment, for loans, in trustless ecosystems on public layer ones. Institutional products provide the tools for developers to build on top. And the XRP ledger is evolving to support these real institutional financial use cases without losing its core values. The whole point is to provide tools that will enable the next wave of retail mass adoption DeFi. Joining me on stage is Jazzy Cooper, RippleX's head of product, driving our institutional DeFi vision. Jazzy?
Thanks, David. It's true, we're at a turning point. Public chains were once seen as too risky for institutions, and now it's too risky for institutions not to integrate them with their business. Institutions have truly embraced blockchain and are finally launching real products on public chains, including the XRP ledger. And XRPL is evolving to meet that demand. Over the past year, a number of key features have gone live, ranging from the automated market maker to decentralized identity, price oracles, and clawback. And we have others that are still in voting: credentials, MPTs, permission domains. These features are foundational infrastructure for building secure, transparent, and scalable financial products.
And so again, we're going to cover a bit more on the event and the talks that are shared over at Apex 2025. But as she was stating, it is completely true, and the growth is here. Adoption is here among institutions, as according to Coinbase, 60% of all of the Fortune 500 companies are working on blockchain projects. And by the way, a lot of these blockchain projects aren't going to be able to service their own needs at scale, which means they're likely going to have to partner with companies like Ripple in order to do it, so they can focus on their business and have everything on the blockchain done through the XRPL. And here's where things get exciting, as Guggenheim, which manages $345 billion, is expanding into a digital debt product on the XRPL in partnership with Ripple. And they're doing this by issuing $280 million in debt or bonds on the XRPL. Now they're issuing DCP, or digital commercial paper, which is short-term debt converted into blockchain tokens, which matures in less than 400 days, offers fixed income, and is secured by US government bonds. And again, if you don't know, the bond market is tremendous. But when you put it on the blockchain, not only can you fractionalize it, not only is it more efficient and affordable, it's also extremely secure and quick. And if that wasn't enough, it's instant settlement, near zero fees, no middlemen. It cuts the crap, and blockchain revolutionizes global finance, debt, real estate, and Ripple and the XRPL are at a forefront. So much so that they even know it, and they're actually even FOMOing on their own stock. If many of you didn't know, XRP is the token behind the company Ripple. Ripple as a company got a ton of money. We're talking to the tune of $100+ million in venture capital. I think it's multiple hundreds of millions of dollars from VCs in order to build their tech company. In other words, there are a lot of people, including accredited investors, that own a piece of Ripple. I know this to be true, not only because accredited investors can go and purchase stock in the company Ripple and not XRP, but because my own friend, he has a father that's an accredited investor that owns Ripple as a company. And right now, one accredited investor woke up to an email from Ripple Labs basically stating that they're buying back 3 to 5% of their company at $175 per share, or a 135% premium, since the last traded prices were sitting at about $74 to $75. This is tremendous news because this speaks volumes about what they know comes next. They know institutions are going to be lining up at the door to not only purchase Ripple as a company, but that XRP's demand is going to continue to grow and climb. And the more shares of Ripple they own, the more of that XRP token is at their discretion and not the discretion of all of their venture capitalists. They know that as the world matures, as we get a stablecoin legislation and bill, the Genius Act, as more and more banks adopt blockchain technology and use this stuff in every single facet of their daily transactions and lives, the valuation of Ripple as a company and the XRP token are going to soar, which means right now, as the market is looking pretty hot, even among a lot of interesting news like the LA riots and constant uncertainty with Trump tariffs, we're still seeing the S&P 500 and Bitcoin rise to new local highs. Bitcoin recently pumped to over $111,000 and is extremely close to that prior all-time high. While the rest of the market is lagging, the S&P 500 is way up, and that's on the news that US and China are now agreeing to get back on track with their trade agreements and no longer create issues. How long that will last, we don't know. But now Trump has even more power where courts are supporting his ability to create sweeping tariffs worldwide. So as all of this is going down, what really happens next? Well, I believe Ripple is trying to buy back those shares because they know the price is going to soar, especially like I said, as Bitcoin recently reached that local high of about $110,500. So I was a few $100s off. But on XRP, we've been actually lagging quite a bit behind Bitcoin. And right now, XRP pumped to about $2.33, currently squatting at about $2.29. And if we can hold this range and break back above the $2.35 range, not only are we in healthy territory, but we're primed to be in bull territory anywhere above the $2.65 range. And by bull territory, I mean that we're likely going to not only break back up to the prior all-time high of about $3.40, but we're likely going to go to at least $5 on some sort of a psychological resistance as a new all-time high. XRP is truly set to soar. Things are looking really hot in the markets. Even with all of this uncertainty, it's been one of the strongest Mays and Junes in recorded history. And so I thoroughly believe insiders over at Ripple know what's coming next, which is why they're buying the stock at a premium, and which is why you really want to be paying attention to these ranges. A close above 235 is going to be pretty bullish for XRP. And although this was a short one, I appreciate you hopping on and watching. I hope you learned something new. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and also go to bullrunners.com/altcoin secrets to get your free ebook sent directly to your inbox. Till next time, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.